You know what most people do when life feels unfair, when things aren't working, when they're drowning in disappointment. They talk about it. They sit there and complain. They rehearse the story of how bad it is to anyone who will listen, like that's going to change anything. But here's the truth. Your words shape your world, and if all you're doing is voicing frustration, you're multiplying it. Anger itself isn't the problem. Anger is a sign something needs to change. Anger is pure energy. But if you spend that energy talking about what's wrong instead of building what's right, you're burning fuel with no engine to move you forward. Think about it. A storm can destroy, but it can also generate power. The electricity that lights up your home comes from harnessing energy, not letting it run wild. Your anger is the same. It's not meant to sit in your chest and corrode your spirit. It's meant to be converted into movement, into decisions, into courage. Complaining doesn't require courage. Taking action does. That's why so many people never leave the loop of misery. It's easier to keep retelling the problem than to face the discomfort of solving it. If you've been carrying anger for a long time, it's because somewhere inside you, you know you were built for more than this. That tension you feel between where you are and where you know you could be. That's not something to numb or ignore. That's your inner alarm clock screaming, "Wake up. You were not designed to settle here." But every time you pour that energy into complaining, you're pressing snooze on your own breakthrough. Picture your life like a leaking boat. The water pouring in is your problems. Anger is the bucket you could use to scoop the water out, keep yourself afloat, and row toward land. But what do most people do? They stand in the boat yelling at the water for coming in, shouting about how unfair the ocean is. Meanwhile, the boat keeps sinking, energy wasted, potential lost, and here's the real danger: the longer you sit in complaint mode, the more you train your mind to see yourself as powerless. You start believing your voice only exists to describe your situation, not to direct it. That's when you become a spectator in your own life, and you weren't put here to watch life happen. You were put here to make life happen. The moment you shift from "why is this happening to me" to "what am I going to do about it" is the moment your anger transforms from poison to power. That shift is everything. It's the split second that turns victims into victors, passengers into drivers, dreamers into doers. You might still feel the heat in your chest, the frustration in your voice, but now it's pointed in a direction that actually matters. Look at history, at the people who changed the world. Almost every great movement, invention, or revolution was sparked by anger, not the destructive kind that lashes out, but the kind that refuses to accept things as they are. The kind that says, "This is not how my story ends." They didn't just shout about the problem, they built the solution. They turned emotion into momentum. So let's be real. Are you using your anger as a weapon against your own progress, or as a tool to break through the walls holding you back? Because those walls aren't going to knock themselves down. And let's be even more real. Complaining feels good for a moment because it validates your pain, but it doesn't fix it. Action might be harder, but it's the only thing that will free you from the same story you've been stuck in. Next time you feel that heat rise in your chest, stop and ask yourself, what can I do right now that would actually move me forward? Maybe it's making that call you've been avoiding. Maybe it's starting the workout. Maybe it's applying for that opportunity. Maybe it's walking away from that toxic situation. Whatever it is, do it immediately, before your mind talks you back into the comfort of complaining. Because here's the secret no one wants to hear. No one is coming to save you. The rescue you've been waiting for is in the form of your own decision to act. Anger is only wasted when it's left to rot in your words instead of being invested in your actions. Stop spilling your energy onto the floor of conversations that go nowhere. Pick it up, use it. Let it drive you until the life you're living is no longer the one you need to complain about. The fire you feel right now, it's not meant to burn you. It's meant to light your way out, rock bottom. Those words alone make people think of failure, shame, and endings. It's the place no one wants to be, the moment when everything you've been holding together finally collapses in your hands. It's the job you lost, the relationship that ended, the dream that didn't happen, the savings account that hit zero, the moment you looked in the mirror and didn't even recognize yourself anymore. Rock bottom feels like the final stop, like the cruel punctuation mark at the end of your story. But what if you've been looking at it all wrong? What if rock bottom isn't the end, but the perfect beginning? What if that place you've been avoiding at all costs is actually the exact place you need to stand before you can launch higher than you've ever gone? Because here's the truth. The lowest point in your life is the most solid ground you'll ever find. You can't fall any further. You can't pretend anymore. You can't hide behind the distractions, the excuses, or the illusions you once used to make yourself feel okay. All that's left is the raw, unfiltered truth of where you are, and from there, you can build without lies weighing you down. When you're at rock bottom, you stop caring about impressing people. You stop living for their approval. You stop wasting energy on keeping up appearances. All the fake layers get stripped away, and in that stripped down state, you have something most people never experience: clarity. You see exactly what's broken, exactly what needs to change, and exactly who you are when everything else is gone. That's the kind of clarity that can fuel the biggest transformations of your life. Think about a slingshot. The further it's pulled back, the more force it has when it's released. Rock bottom is your pullback. It's life stretching you, building tension, and yes, it hurts. But that tension is the exact thing that gives you the momentum to fly forward if you decide to release it. Some people stay there, holding onto the pain, replaying the failure, convinced they're stuck forever. But others, the ones who rise, take that same tension and aim it forward. I'm not saying it's easy. When you're lying flat on your back, staring at the ceiling, wondering how you got here, your mind will tell you you've lost everything. But look deeper. You haven't lost everything. You've lost what wasn't meant for the next chapter. You've lost the things that were keeping you from growing. You've lost the safety nets that kept you from leaping. Sometimes life has to strip you down to nothing so it can rebuild you into something unstoppable. The most dangerous place you can be in life isn't rock bottom. It's comfortable misery, that lukewarm middle ground where you're unhappy but not unhappy enough to do something about it. Rock bottom doesn't give you that option. It forces your hand. It's the place where you have to choose. Stay here in the dirt or start climbing. And the climb, messy, exhausting, uphill as it may be, will give you back your strength. Every step will remind you that you are not finished. When you look back years from now, you might realize rock bottom was the greatest gift you were ever given. It humbled you, it taught you, it showed you who your real friends were. It burned away the illusions and revealed your real priorities. And most importantly, it lit a fire in you that comfort never could. The world celebrates people when they've already made it. But the real magic happens in the moments when no one is watching. When you're alone, rebuilding in the dark, stacking brick after brick with nothing but faith that the structure you're building will one day stand tall. That's where you discover what you're truly capable of. So if you're there now, if you're standing in that place where everything feels broken, stop telling yourself it's over. This is not the last chapter. This is the starting line. Your rock bottom is not a grave. It's the ground you will push off from. It's the launch pad that will catapult you into a version of yourself you've never met before. Because sometimes you have to be brought to your knees before you can rise to your full height. And when you do, you won't just stand, you'll soar. Excuses are sneaky. They taste good in the moment. They make you feel justified, even comforted. They wrap you in a warm blanket of "it's not my fault," and "I'll start tomorrow." But just like junk food, the more you consume them, the weaker you get. They don't nourish you, they don't build you, they leave you sluggish, stuck, and addicted to the same patterns that are keeping you exactly where you are. We've all done it. I don't have enough time. I don't have the right resources. I'm not ready yet. The timing isn't perfect. On the surface, these sound like reasons. They sound logical, but deep down, you know they're not the truth. The truth is, you're scared, you're unsure. You don't want to feel the discomfort that comes with doing the work, so you feed yourself these little stories to take the edge off. And just like junk food tricks your body into thinking it's satisfied, excuses trick your mind into thinking you're making sense when really, you're just making stalls. Here's the problem. Every time you repeat an excuse, you strengthen it. You make it part of your identity. Before long, it's not just I can't because I'm busy, it's I'm just a busy person. It's not I can't because I don't know how, it's I'm not the kind of person who can do that. You start living inside the walls of your own justifications, and then you wonder why you feel trapped. If you really think about it, excuses are a form of self-betrayal. You're not lying to the world as much as you're lying to yourself. You're convincing yourself to settle for less, convincing yourself that your dreams aren't worth the risk, convincing yourself that later will somehow be easier, but later is just another way of saying never, if you keep feeding it the same diet of reasons why it can't happen now. And here's the reality check. There will never be a perfect time. There will never be a day when you wake up and all the obstacles are gone, all the fear has disappeared, and all the conditions are exactly right. Waiting for that moment is like waiting for junk food to suddenly become a superfood. It's not going to happen. The conditions you have right now are the conditions you have to work with, and the more you move, the more you do, the more those conditions begin to shift in your favor. Excuses are also dangerous because they disguise themselves as protection. You think you're shielding yourself from failure, but what you're really doing is protecting yourself from growth. And the thing about growth is, it's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be, but that discomfort is where all the transformation happens. When you step beyond your excuses, you're stepping into the territory where change becomes possible. I want you to picture this. Every excuse you've ever told yourself is like a fast food meal. It gives you a burst of satisfaction. You feel full, for a moment full of reasons, full of justifications, but then you crash. You feel heavy. You feel tired. You feel stuck. And the only way to shake that feeling is to stop feeding on the same thing that's making you sick. Switch the menu. Instead of I can't because, start asking, how can I? Instead of it's not the right time, start telling yourself, this is my time. Because here's the truth, the moment you stop giving your excuses a seat at the table, your life starts to change. When you stop feeding them, they starve, and when they starve, they die. Suddenly, you're no longer weighed down by the same old mental loops. You start seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. You start focusing on solutions instead of stories. Every breakthrough starts with one brutal moment of honesty, the moment you look yourself in the mirror and say, the only thing in my way is me. That's not an easy sentence to speak, but it's a powerful one. It puts you back in control, and when you're in control, you can steer your life in any direction you want. You can't build a strong, powerful, unstoppable life on a diet of emotional junk food. You have to feed yourself courage. Feed yourself discipline, feed yourself truth, and truth tastes different, it's harder to chew, it's not as sweet, but it will strengthen you in ways excuses never could, so push your plate of excuses away. Stop swallowing the same reasons that have kept you stuck for years. You deserve more than the temporary comfort they give you. You deserve the real meal, the one called action, the one called progress, the one called change. And the moment you choose that over the empty calories of excuses, your entire life will start to transform. Comfort zones are dangerous because they don't feel dangerous. They feel safe, warm, familiar, like that favorite blanket you've had for years or that perfect pillow that fits just right under your head. You convince yourself you're just resting there, but in reality, you're lying still while life quietly passes you by. And here's the thing about comfort zones, they're not actually safe. They're slow, silent traps. They're coffins with nice pillows. You don't realize it at first, but the longer you stay there, the more they rob you of your energy, your ambition, and your time. It's human nature to seek comfort. Our brains are wired to find the easiest path, to conserve energy, to avoid risk. That made sense when survival was about staying alive. But in the modern world, survival isn't the same as living. And that's the problem. Your comfort zone might keep you alive, but it won't let you live. It's the difference between existing and thriving. The scary part is, the comfort zone is addictive. Once you've settled into it, you can trick yourself into believing it's enough. You tell yourself, it's fine, I'm okay here, when deep down you know you're not fulfilled. That's why so many people wake up years later wondering where their dreams went. They didn't lose them overnight. They slowly buried them under the cushions of convenience. You might think, well, at least in my comfort zone I can't fail. But that's a lie. You can fail in comfort, you just fail quietly. You fail by never trying. You fail by never knowing what you were capable of. You fail by letting your potential rot away unused. And when that happens, the loss is far greater than any failure you could have faced outside those walls. Every breakthrough in life comes with a moment of discomfort. It's supposed to. Growth stretches you. It demands something from you. It pulls you out of the familiar and into the unknown, and that's where fear starts whispering in your ear. That fear will tell you to stay where you are. It will try to convince you that risk is too dangerous, that you're not ready, that maybe later will be better. But later is the favorite word of the comfort zone. It keeps you waiting until there's nothing left to wait for. You can't create an extraordinary life while staying in ordinary spaces. You can't find out who you really are by never testing your limits. The comfort zone might feel like protection, but it's actually isolation. It locks you away from opportunities, from challenges, from the kind of moments that define you. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to leave. The irony is that the discomfort you're avoiding outside the comfort zone is temporary, but the regret you risk by staying inside it lasts forever. You can push through fear, you can adapt to challenge. You can learn from failure, but you can't undo wasted years. You can't get back the moments you never lived. Leaving your comfort zone doesn't have to mean taking some massive, reckless leap. It can start small, having the conversation you've been avoiding, applying for the opportunity you think you're underqualified for, saying yes to the thing that scares you just enough to make your heart race. Every small push expands your limits. Every step you take outside that zone makes the unknown feel a little less threatening. And before you know it, what was once terrifying becomes your new normal. But make no mistake, it will never stop requiring courage. No matter how many times you've stepped out before, the next level will always feel uncomfortable at first. That's how you know you're growing. The moment life starts feeling too easy, too predictable, too routine, that's your signal. That's the whisper telling you it's time to move again. You get one shot at this life, one, and it's far too precious to spend it lying in a coffin lined with nice pillows, waiting for time to run out. You weren't created to be comfortable, you were created to be capable. You were built to stretch, to evolve, to create something bigger than yourself. So don't get too cozy where you are. Don't mistake the absence of discomfort for the presence of joy. The world outside your comfort zone may be unpredictable, but it's where the magic happens. It's where you discover what you're made of. It's where you stop existing and start living. And the sooner you step out, the sooner you'll realize the life you want has been waiting for you on the other side all along. Anger can light a fire in you, but without direction, that fire just burns everything in sight. Rage alone feels powerful in the moment your heart is racing. Your voice is louder. Your determination feels unshakable, but raw emotion without a plan is like a car with the engine revving and no gears engaged. You're making a lot of noise, but you're not moving anywhere. We've all felt that surge, that moment when something happens and you say, "That's it. I'm done. Things are going to change." But here's the truth. Deciding you've had enough is only the starting point. What you do after that moment is what determines whether your life changes or stays the same. Too many people get stuck in that emotional high of never again without mapping out what different actually looks like. They think feeling fed up is enough, but feelings fade, and when the feelings fade, so does the urgency unless you've turned it into a strategy. Rage without strategy is just frustration on repeat. You get angry, you swear things will change, you make a big declaration, but then you go right back to the same patterns because you never built the bridge from where you are to where you want to be. That bridge isn't built from emotion, it's built from clarity, structure, and consistency. The power of a strategy is that it survives the emotional roller coaster. When you wake up tomorrow and that burst of motivation isn't as strong, your plan is still there. When the next setback hits and you feel that anger rise again, your strategy tells you exactly where to put that energy so it creates progress instead of chaos. Think about it this way: rage is fuel, but strategy is the steering wheel. Without both, you either run out of energy before you get anywhere or you crash because you're going too fast in the wrong direction. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who just feel the most pain, they're the ones who channel that pain into a step-by-step process. They don't just want things to be different, they make them different by turning vision into action, and a strategy doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as identifying the one habit you need to break, the one skill you need to learn, or the one opportunity you need to chase, and committing to doing something about it every single day. It's about breaking the big, overwhelming goal into small, non-negotiable moves. Here's where most people slip. They wait for the feeling to push them. They wait to feel ready or feel motivated again. But strategy doesn't wait for emotion. It runs on discipline. You don't go to the gym only when you feel like it. You go because it's in the plan. You don't work on your craft only when inspiration strikes. You work on it because you've committed to the process. And over time, that consistency builds momentum, and that momentum changes everything. If you've ever wondered why you've been angry about the same thing for years, but nothing's changed, this is why. Anger gave you the signal, but you never built the map. And without the map, you keep circling back to the same frustration. It's not that you're not capable. It's not that you're not strong enough. It's that you haven't directed that strength toward a clear target. Every person who's ever transformed their life has gone through the same two stages, the breaking point and the blueprint. The breaking point is that moment of rage where you know something has to change. The blueprint is the strategy that makes it happen. One without the other is incomplete. So if you're sitting there right now, fired up, ready to turn things around, stop and ask yourself, what exactly is my plan? Not just I'm going to do better. What steps, what timeline, what actions will get me from here to there? And then commit to those steps like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. Rage is the match that lights the flame, but strategy is the hand that holds it steady until it becomes something powerful enough to shape your future. Don't just burn, build. And when you look back one day, you won't remember the noise you made, you'll remember the moves you made that changed everything. Everything about your future, the way you live, the way you feel, the way people remember you comes down to the decisions you make in moments like this. Not someday, not when the timing feels right, not when the stars magically align, right now, because right now is the only moment you have any real control over. The rest is either memory or imagination, and neither of those can change your life unless you act in this moment. We love to tell ourselves that change is coming soon. That will start when we're ready, when the kids are older, when the schedule clears, when we have more money, more time, more confidence. But all that really means is we're postponing the life we want to live. The truth is, the future you dream of doesn't start months or years from now. It starts the moment you decide you're not willing to keep living in the one you have. Every transformation begins with a single choice. And here's what's powerful about that. You don't have to have it all figured out to make the decision. You don't need to know every step you're going to take, every obstacle you're going to face, or every detail of the journey. You just need to decide you're going to move. That decision alone changes your direction. People underestimate the power of a single choice because they think it has to be big and dramatic. But the truth is, the most life-changing decisions often happen quietly when no one's watching. It's the moment you decide to put down the excuses, the moment you decide to walk away from what's draining you, the moment you decide to stop waiting for permission and start giving it to yourself. From the outside, it might not look like much. But on the inside, it's the spark that changes everything. What's holding most people back isn't a lack of talent, resources, or opportunity, it's indecision. It's living in that gray zone of maybe, where you half commit but never follow through. And the longer you stay there, the more life you waste. Because here's the thing, life isn't going to slow down so you can make up your mind. It will keep moving with or without you. Every day you wait is another day you'll never get back. Making the decision doesn't mean it will be easy. In fact, the moment you commit to change, you'll probably face resistance from your own mind, from your habits, maybe even from the people around you. But resistance is a sign you're on the right track. It means you're stepping into territory you've never been in before, and that's where growth happens. Think about the person you want to become. Not the version that's slightly better than you are now, but the version that's living the life you've been dreaming about. That person is already out there waiting for you to catch up. And the bridge between who you are now and who you want to be isn't built with wishful thinking, it's built with decisions. Decisions to act, to show up, to keep going even when it's hard. The beautiful thing is, every time you choose to move forward instead of staying the same, you're casting a vote for that future version of yourself. You're proving to yourself that you can be trusted to follow through. And with each choice, your confidence grows, your momentum builds, and your life begins to shift in ways you couldn't have imagined when you started. You might be thinking, but what if I make the wrong decision? Let me tell you, a wrong decision will teach you more and move you further than making no decision at all. Because even a misstep moves you out of the place you've been stuck. You can course, correct along the way, but you can't do anything from a standstill. This is your moment to decide, not to think about deciding, not to talk about deciding, to actually make the call. The person you're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they're shaped by what you choose in this moment. You don't have to stay the same. You don't have to keep living a life that doesn't feel like yours. It all starts here, one decision, one commitment, one moment when you say, this is it. I'm done with who I've been, and I'm ready to become who I'm meant to be. And when you make that choice, the entire direction of your life changes starting now.